Hey, it's Green Rumor. We got a leak in the RV in the toy hauler. The air conditioner, water coming out the corner of it here, and also out of this outlet that powers up this thing. I got a little ahead of you. I took the cover off. Fairly easy. There's just a little plastic screw right there, and a plastic screw, just a quarter turn screw. Unscrew those two screws and then just pull back side, back like that, away from, because it has these little tabs in those little holes. So once you unscrew the two back screws, just pull it that direction. Here you go. Now there's 4 screws, and they are spring loaded. So when you see the spring-loaded screw sitting there, you'll have to take those 4 screws out. To get to what we're after is we're after the gasket, and actually the gasket is on top of the toy hauler. Here's a replacement foam gasket. It's pretty thick. It's about 1 inch thick, white. Looks like closed cell foam with some self-adhesive strip on it. And so now that we got those 4 screws out, we've got the cover off. There's this little bib here. There's a duct, and that's just adhered. I mean, you can peel back on it and get it to come loose. It's sticky. So, I mean, in the end, if it doesn't have good stickum, you may have to get some through some sticky back tape or some adhesive spray. There you go, boom. So as soon as I got the bib off, this whole thing just fell towards me, and really there's the power. So if you want to be safe and sure, don't have this thing plugged into 110, or disconnect the power in that box right there. I mean, this is not a big deal for me to leave this hanging here for the moment. But anyway, what we're after, so this membrane here is the roof. That's the vinyl roof. And so this pad is sitting right in that area right there. So it looks to me like we are going to have to disconnect the power in order to feed that pad up and into the hole. Because from what I'm getting here, there are 4 long bolts in the corners. You can see it goes all the way up into the frame. So you take those 4 bolts out, boom, this piece of metal comes out, and you can just push up on the AC unit, unplug this cord right here, the detent, just unplug that, and then have somebody, if you're not familiar with 110 volt electricity, have somebody disconnect this for you. If you just peeled this cover off, you'll see that it's just wire nutted. So all I'm going to do is, I don't have it plugged into power, so this isn't going to be hot, but I'm just going to undo these wire nuts and then just pull this Romex, this is house wire Romex, out of there. And then when we put it back together, we're going to make sure we match black with black, white with white, and the green with the bare copper wire that's sitting there, and make sure these wire nuts are cranked down good and tight. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that they have the 2 wires, side by side, when really one's a lot shorter, one's way down. So the wire nut goes on, and then this wire here, it just isn't connected, and it just can fall back, and that causes house fires, my friends. So you got to make sure your wire nuts are good and tight. Don't over tighten them so that you don't break the copper. It's just copper wire back in there. So yeah, that's the goal. We're gonna be able to, so I'm gonna disconnect this and I'll unplug this and I'll get back with you in just a second. Okay, so I've got the Romex disconnected. Now I'm unplugging this plug-in just to let you know how that works. I may have pointed out this detent, but that just holds this female plug into the body of the plastic here. It's these 2. There's one up here, one down here, just a pinch. So pinch those together, plastic, And I'm going to set the phone down because once I pull out to the left, this whole thing will be in my hand. So hang on. Okay, so see, I unplugged it. There's the plug. Still has the two plastic flippers on it. So you just squeeze those two and just pull back. But have a hold of this thing because it's heavy. It's for a little piece of plastic. It's pretty heavy. Looks like I got time to clean it now. But alright, we'll set this off to the side. Ooh, look at that. Anyway, alright, so now we're free. We got nothing but these two wires and they're in the middle. So we're going to undo these 4 bolts, and then from the looks of things, I mean, I'm going to go back up onto the roof and install that from up there. So we'll, because it's just to try and feed that rubber up in here and get that correct. I don't think I like that. I think it's disconnected, so we'll just go up to the roof and deal with it. So right now we'll take a nut driver and undo those. There's nothing in it. It's got to be a hex. So it's a little 5/16 nut driver. So stand by. Okay, I've got a multi screwdriver, and I don't know if you all know that, but I'm sure most of you do. But the bit's usually about 5/16, so taking the bit out, that gives you a nut driver. So, and that should fit right on there. And yep. Now, so we'll take these off, and then we'll go up on top. See you up on top. Okay, I'm up on top now. I have the cover off, just so that I don't break it as I'm working on it. And that was fairly simple. There's just the 2 screws that hold the little black plastic fan shroud, and then 1 single screw in the front, and the whole thing just lifts off. No big deal. And those came off real easy. But now I'll come out here to the stiff side, or the flat side, where I've been prying at it, and it should just lift right up. There it is. Off of there. You can see the foam coming up with it. But yep, I'll tip this off, and I need a hand, so I'll just lift this and move it. I think I have to set it up on a couple of milk crates so I can lay down and scrape the bottom. I don't want to tip this thing over. I don't want the Freon to the Freon to start moving into capillaries. You know, you don't want to turn these things upside down if you can help it. You wouldn't turn the refrigerator upside down, so keep her flat if you can. So I think I'll bring a couple of milk crates up here, and then we'll just lift them up onto the milk crates, and I can sort of clean and scrape underneath and clean the surface here, install the new gasket, set this thing back down, and done deal. So stay tuned. Okay, so I used a couple of 5-gallon buckets, and by myself I just straddled it and lifted it up on there. Couldn't get anybody to come by at this moment, and I'm kind of impatient, so a lot of debris that was up under there, so you have to make sure to get that. If you notice, there's a square right here, and there's one up front right there. The reason for that is there's some extra pad that was attached to the bottom of the pan, since the pan overhangs so far. And that came with the kit. That's this little strip right here. You'll have to cut it in half and put one in front, one in the back, right in the same spot as these 2 squares, and that way it has some stability. It's not just sitting there sagging, which might have contributed to the extra pressure in this corner. However, once I got this off, I noticed there's several tears in the vinyl on the top here, and they're dry underneath, so they're factory tears. So that foam pad was covering them. I think before I put the foam pad on, I'm going to see if I can do some little vinyl patching on those just to make myself feel better about it. So I think the next step right now is to clean the vinyl as good as I can, get it ready for adhesion. Clean the bottom of the pan. You can see that's still stuck there, and it won't be too bad. You can see it's kind of shiny. The adhesive's still kind of stuck on there. It's a little transparent 3M adhesive. So anyway, we'll get busy on that, and then I'll prepare my little patch, my little holes, which probably isn't absolutely necessary, and you could probably just goop some. You know, I don't use silicone on an RV, but you can go to the RV shop and get this white RV self-leveling silicone is really what it is. And so it's still silicone, but it's self-leveling. So it works really good for RVs, covering your screws or fixing your patches or whatever like that. Don't waste your time on silicone. Go to the RV. Look at that. That is a tear outside of the pad here. Huh. Okay, well, looks like we got more than one problem. I'm certain that gasket was failing because it just came right off in the corner here, and it's not stuck to the ceiling at all. So this whole back section where it was clearly leaking is because of the foam pad, but there is another leak, and that's this tear that was under the air conditioner. So keep your eyeballs peeled. I had no idea that was there until I got the air conditioner off. So patching that one, I'll patch those, and then we'll get back to business. Wow. Okay, so as you can see, I cleaned the area pretty good, and here's a tear, there's a tear, there's a tear. The worst than those, which are under the foam, is this one that's out here in the open. So this is a EPDM vinyl material. This is an EPDM repair tape. It's about $50 a roll of 50 feet, and I was fortunate enough to have a nice fella over at the local RV, Summit RV over here. He gave me this piece and recommends that I use some kind of an acetone or to clean it. You know, don't just clean it with water, but right before you put the tape on, you know, do an acetone. So I'm gonna take that short. I'm not going all the way over because I want that foam gasket to be touching vinyl as much as possible all the way around, and then I think we'll be in business. Alright, as you can see, the foam's sticking to the bottom of the pan. The boot I put back in there in order to get this bracket on correctly. I just sprayed a little tiny bit of adhesive around the I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't see it very well in the phone, but right around the edge of the inside of the boot I sprayed a little aerosol adhesive, and now it sticks to the rim there. Now I can put this metal thing on, otherwise it's just a fight the whole entire time. This way it holds it on. Now the foam, I'm going to put some self-leveling silicone around the square before I drop this, because there's no adhesive on the other side of this, which that's the way they want it. So my trailer is a toy hauler and it's got a slant, so I feel at least like I've got to have some leading edge adhesive. But if it was a perfect membrane it might work, but I don't like it. And then under the buckets here I've already adhered the two short pads, and they'll sit on the EPDM roof. We have our patches in place, the one on the side, and then there's the long ones on this side, but everything else, the hole's nice and clean. Like I said, there's these tiny little screw holes. I feel a little something under there, but I'll throw a little dab of that self-leveling silicone down in there, and as you can see, the factory or somebody did that. That's what this stuff is. It's chewy. It's like gum. Oh, I'm sorry. I might want to try and get some more of that off of there, but it looks like someone else had the same idea as I do, which is to put some of that self-leveling silicone, which this doesn't look like it was done right, but and some on this end too. Yeah, I'll probably just put a light bead all the way around the outside edge, and that way we got a pretty good seal.
Yeah, so I took that thinner piece of foam that comes in the package and I adhered it straight down to the vinyl roof, just outside of the perimeter of where the new foam is going to sit on the uphill side, because water runs downhill, and anything I can do to keep that from going into that foam area, I feel like that might be good. And that was a mystery piece of foam. I don't know what that was for. I'm not going to complain about it. I think everything's covered that should be covered, and if I need that piece of foam, I do have some more somewhere else, so we'll see. But I just stuck that adhesive down, and it's got a good fix to the top of this. So since this one sticks to the bottom of the pan, the new one, and has no adhesive down here, I'm gonna put some, like I said, some self-leveling silicone, which is pretty much what this white stuff is that keeps gumming up. I'm not gonna keep peeling at it though. I'm afraid there's a hole under it or something, so I'm just gonna let it go at that. I think it'll be fine. I ran that goof off material. That's why it's so white here, you can see. But yeah, I think it's good and clean. Okay, white self-leveling sealant. It is not silicone, but while it's liquid, you can see I dabbed a little dab on each one of them little tiny pinholes, and perimeter all the way around where that foam will sit on the outside edge, and then it'll still have a clean surface of vinyl to sit on. And then I even put a little bead on the outside of the foam tape. Sorry, that's just me, just the uphill side. This is a real slanted trailer, so now I'm going to set this thing down on there, and it should be good to go if I get it aligned correctly. Alright, you can see it's pretty square in here. I got lucky and it got to drop down right where it needed to be. So now that I see that that's in a good spot, I'm going to go back up. You can even see some of that stuff oozing through. I'm going to go back up and just double check that it looks lined up right to the whole entire area. So we'll do an eyeball lineup right now real quick before we bolt this down. You can see I cranked it down to about 5/8 of an inch all the way around evenly. Cross, 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 just a little bit at a time, squeezing it down. No more than 1/2 inch, I would say, but mine's about 5/8 in that vicinity. Okay. Got the boots all adhered back in, the units back up and wired. I guess it was kind of tricky wiring it by myself. It'd be better if you had someone holding the unit while you worked on it. And then same with putting it up there. It'd be nice to have someone holding it in position, but you can actually look through the vent here and see one of the holes in the back left corner, or the back, excuse me, back right corner, and take a screwdriver and push up on the screw, put it in the hole, put the screwdriver on there and push the spring all the way up in there, and you'll be able to see the tip, and you'll be able to line it up to that one hole. And you can do the same thing from over here at this screw, and once they're lined up, these two will line up pretty easily. Otherwise, good luck. It's harder than heck to get them to find the holes in the front here where there's so much room up there. So anyway, I got it. But yeah, good luck with that. That's a chore getting it back up in there. Sorry about that. Alright, I hope that all helps.